Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have given us these giant, wacky, crystallized elemental crowns that we can put on our Pokemon's heads called Tera Jewels, with one jewel for every type. We have currently seen 6 of the 18 jewels there will be, so let's try to guess what the others will look like. Hey everyone, Brandon here. So, Tera Jewels. These things are ridiculous, but in a totally Pokemon way. After seeing the jewels we've been shown so far, I wanted to try to guess what the rest might look like. So I partnered with the fantastic artist VCreateArt, and we came up with some concepts for the jewels and some epic art to go along with them. And just a disclaimer before we begin, I know some of these Pokemon we used for the art may not even appear in Paldea, but we simply chose the Pokemon we thought would fit each crown best. So without further ado, let's begin with the electric type. After seeing the Tera Jewels we have gotten thus far, I realized they all had a common theme. They were all objects that represented the type rather than just straight up being the element. Rather than just fire, we got a candelabra. Rather than just water, we got a fountain. Do you get what I mean? VCreate and I tried to keep that same theme going, so for the electric type, we went with a light bulb. So here is Palmy with an electric Tera Jewel. VCreate added in the shape of Rotom into the light bulb for an additional electric type reference. Light bulbs of course use electricity, but they are also one of the most prolific electrical inventions in history and have an undisputed impact on modern society. On top of that, it looks like Palmy just had a really great idea, which is a perfect level of campiness for Pokemon. Next, for the rock type, there was another thing I noticed with the Tera Jewels. The Flying and Ghost Tera Jewels are direct references to Gen 1, with the Flying one referencing Flying Pikachu, and the Ghost one being the Ghost Sprite from the Pokemon Tower. So I wanted to mix in another Gen 1 reference of my own, and have the rock type be represented by the gym statues which first appeared in Gen 1. So here is Rhydon with the Rock Tera Jewel. For this one, we replicated the Let's Go versions of these statues, but the original statues from Red and Blue looked very similar to the menu sprite for Rhydon. And in the ruins of Alph and Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, these statues actually are Rhydon, so we thought it would be a perfect fit. For yet another Gen 1 reference, we have the Psychic type. So here is Alakazam with the Psychic Tera Jewel. Yep, it's Spoons! Spoons were pretty major with psychic types in Gen 1. Obviously, we have Kadabra, Alakazam, and even later Mega Alakazam. But Mewtwo also sported a giant spoon in the manga. And in the anime, Sabrina's gym boasted some spoon benders. And the move Kinesis shows a spoon being bent. Needless to say, psychic types are all ready for the ice cream party. For the bug type, we picked the most iconic object to represent bugs, a beehive. And who better to get this crown than the queen bee herself, Vespiquen. So here she is with the Bug Tera Jewel. The hive has bugs swarming around it, which we thought would act as a perfect reference to Vespiquen's signature moves, Attack Order and Defend Order. For the Dark type, we had to try something a bit different. I mean, Dark is the evil type in Japan, but it also covers other aspects of darkness, aside from just being evil. Like sneaking in the shadows like Sableye and Greninja, or even Umbreon, which represents nocturnality, with it only evolving at night, and its name coming from Umbra, which is the darkest part of an eclipse, with the symbols on its body representing a lunar eclipse. So VCreate and I decided to go with exactly that. So here is Umbreon with the Dark Tera Jewel. It is a blood red moon with dark clouds covering it, representing the dark things that tend to happen at nighttime, with things like the witching hour, monsters like vampires, werewolves, and the boogeyman. And in general, the pitch darkness of nighttime, when there's nothing but the light of the moon to guide you as you try to avert the creeping creatures that may be hiding in the shadows. So yeah, I think that fits. Speaking of evolutions, let's move on to the fairy type. The first fairy type Pokemon to be introduced as such was Sylveon. Yes, Clefairy was the first fairy Pokemon, but Sylveon was the one who introduced the type to us back in Gen 6. In honor of that, we thought a great thing to represent the fairy type would be Sylveon's iconic bows and ribbons. So here is Mimikyu with the Fairy Tera Jewel. We thought giving this super frilly and cutesy jewel to Mimikyu would make it happy, and maybe make it feel like it had an even better shot at getting closer to people and feeling loved. Also, to avoid having 2 evolutions representing their Tera Jewels. Another mon that inspired my prediction for a Tera Jewel was Paldean Wooper. Changing Wooper's design so the gills look like a skull and crossbones is so inspired, with the skull and crossbones being the typical symbol to represent poisonous things. So we decided to follow suit and make the Poison Tera Jewel be represented by the same thing. So here is Paldean Wooper sporting the jewel it was inspired by. The skull and crossbones are smoke coming from a poisonous brew, which I found really clever. When it comes to the ground type, the challenge is always how to differentiate it from the rock type, with them being such similar elements, and having similar design themes because of that. But there is one thing that is consistently represented by the ground type, and that is sand. From Sandshrew to Sandile, sand means ground type. So what kind of objects could we make from sand? Oh yeah, sandcastles. So here is Palisand with the ground Tera Jewel. Yes, this was entirely intentional and we both found it hilarious and cheeky, and I hope you do as well. One detail that VCreate added is the shape of the castle is like those buckets you get to make sandcastles. I envision an episode of the anime where a small Palisand sees another Pokemon terastalize with the ground Tera Jewel for the first time, and it thinks it's some kind of competition or something. Or even the Palisand terastalizes and the jewel on its head is bigger than itself and it gets a complex about it. I think that would be hilarious. Next up, we have the ice type. For this one, at first, we went a bit simpler, an iceberg, which kind of contradicts what I said about it not being the direct element. So to counteract that, we added in the inspiration of the famous ice type item, the Never Melt Ice. It already kind of looks like a crown like Tera Jewels do, so we thought it would be a great fit. So here is Frostlass with the Ice Tera Jewel. We went with Frostlass because it is one of VCreate and I's favorite Pokemon, but also because of its design origin, the Yukiona. In some tales, the Yukiona, or Yukijoro in this case, was a moon princess that came to Earth out of boredom. So we gave the Ice Princess her ice crown. Move over, Elsa. For the fighting type, we thought it would be best represented by the martial arts side of the fighting type rather than the raw strength side. The pillars of this are the Hitmons and their Generation 5 counterparts, Sock and Throw. We took elements of both and combined them to make this fighting Tera Jewel worn by Tyrogue. You can see the legs of Hitmonlee, the gloves of Hitmonchan, and the belt of Sock and Throw, which is now more of a headband. I thought Tyrogue would be a great candidate to wear this crown, as it kind of represents its potential as a rookie martial arts Pokemon. Another jewel I combined elements for was the Steel Tera Jewel, seen here worn by Magnezone. We combined the nuts and bolts of the Magnemite line and Meltan line. It also looks like the towers we've seen in the trailers for Scarlet and Violet, with the Magnemite line being the original Steel type, and Meltan evolving by combining multiple Meltan together as seen in the anime. I thought they were perfect to have aspects of them represented in this Tera Jewel. Last but not least is the Dragon type. For this, we decided to reference another iconic object in Pokemon history, the dragons from the Opelucid City gym in Unova. These dragons are in both black and white and their sequels, and made for some of the most visually stunning gyms in the franchise. They also make for an amazing Dragon Tera Jewel, seen here worn by another iconic dragon, Charizard. And yes, he is a dragon now thanks to this jewel. And those are my predictions for the Tera Jewels. Let me know which one was your favorite. Thank you guys so much for watching, and with that, I will see you guys next time.